frog comes out with a rat. Jackall comes back in a tiny way. And Ryugi comes back in a huge way. This is what's new this week at the Hook of Tackle.
Welcome to the Hook of Tackle. The Hook of Tackle is the world's largest showcase of Megabass products, featuring baits and colors not found at any other dealer. The Hookup also offers a wide display of OSP, Evergreen, Depths, Lucky Craft, Jackall, and many more. The Hook of Tackle is owned and operated by family, is staffed by guides and verified tackle nerds who love helping anglers elevate their craft. If you're in the Phoenix area, we'd love to have you stop by our showroom and check out the wonderful world of Megabass and the Hookup for yourself. If you shop online, there are almost 10,000 SKUs of Megabass products alone, with hundreds of other companies and new products being added daily. So next time you're looking for that hard to find bait, that color your fish have never seen before, or maybe you just want to elevate your game, look at thehookuptackle.com.
Welcome back, my friends. My name is Jeff, here at the Hook of Tackle, being filmed by my buddy, nobody behind the camera. And this is what's new this week at the Hook of Tackle, where we highlight products that we've gotten throughout the week and restocks that you guys should know and hopefully get your hands on. So this week is a little bit on the lighter side. It's been kind of up and down. Customs is still kind of messing with us, not sending us the things that we actually want and need. So it's kind of been a light week, but we do see some companies that we haven't really seen in a while, and we're pretty much going to start with Jackall. So the first product that we see coming in from Jackall is the Derabuzz. Not a new product, but a product that we haven't had in a while, especially in this size. This is the 3/16 ounce, very finesse buzzbait that Jackall makes. So the Derabuzz is Jackall's very small, very subtle buzzbait. So if you guys are looking for a buzzbait that's small, compact, and very subtle to throw out, you know, during those mornings where it's super glass calm and you see like micro bait flickering on the surface, but everything's kind of calm, having a bait like this might get you a lot more bites. Instead of fishing like a full-size buzzbait that's extremely loud, it can definitely off-put the vibe and how the fish are feeling that morning. So having a small little buzzbait like the Derabuzz will get you some added and more bites throughout. Hopefully upcoming when spring actually comes, because it's still kind of cold out here. So the Derabuzz comes in quite a few different colors as well as different blade colors. So this is just your standard white. Comes in like a highlighter color as well. And then we got gold. And then there's like a darker color as well. Okay, staying on the Dara type of family, we have the Dara Spin. It's their compact small spinnerbait made by Jackall, and we see a huge restock and all the different colors and all the different sizes. So here we have the 1/8 ounce, super small micro size. We also have the 1/4 ounce, and then we see the 3/8 ounce. So the Dara Spin is the small, compact spinnerbait from Jackall, and it's kind of the same concept as that Derabuzz. If you feel like the fish are not super aggressive and they're kind of spooky to, you know, loud movements or anything like that, downsizing to a little more finesse lure that doesn't give off as much vibration can get you some bites. So it's a small, compact little spinnerbait. It's got just one single Colorado blade, but it has a very unique shape. It's kind of cupped a little bit on this side here, if you guys can see that. It's cupped, so it's got still a pretty good vibration, something that's a little bit different, gives off just a different sensation in the water that the fish absolutely will love. Small, compact, as you guys can see, and yeah, it's a dope little spinnerbait. It kind of has one of those SV3 type of heads where it's wider down here at the bottom, it gets thinner up here at the top, so it's going to be keeled just right, so you can fish this at, you know, a very slow speed. You can fish it at like a medium speed, but this is just going to be another one of those spinnerbaits where if you feel like the fish are feeding on smaller gills or shad or just any of that smaller forage, and that the fish don't want anything too intrusive, downsizing to a more compact, a little more subtle spinnerbait will get you some bites. Okay, speaking of spinnerbaits, we see the Jackall Super Eruption Jr. Now this is going to be your more traditional style spinnerbait. That's going to be a little more full. It's going to have a lot more vibration to it. So it seems to be a trend in Japan lately that these small, very small, compact, but enough weight size spinnerbaits to throw on your normal bait casting setup have been coming out, and Jackall has come out with like this junior size here, and it's basically just your standard typical spinnerbait with a willow and then a small little Colorado up here in the front, and so you can fish it at any speeds really and keep it right where you need to in the strike zone, and it just maintains that very small compact profile and size, which just seems to be a very common trend. We see it in the high pitcher from OSP, the Megabass SV3. So it seems like companies are going more and more towards the smaller, more compact spinnerbaits, and quite frankly, I love it. I mean, this time of year, a lot of the shad that the fish are feeding on are pretty small, and so if you really need to match the size of the bait, the spinnerbaits that are coming out now that are fairly easy to fish, where I feel like before when you wanted a spinnerbait of this size, it was pretty difficult to cast, and now you have spinnerbaits like this. This is a 3/8 ounce spinnerbait, so it's a normal size spinnerbait. They make it as well as in a 1/2 ounce size, as well as a even smaller 1/4 ounce. So if you want something a little bit lighter, they make that too. But it's awesome to see that these companies are making these smaller, compact spinnerbaits that you're able to actually throw on your normal gear. Okay, and we see a restock of the ever so popular Jackall TN70. This is basically Jackall's version of a lipless crankbait, and these things, every time we ever get them in, they absolutely fly out of here, and we see some great colors as well coming in from Jackall. So here's a look at that guy. This is just in their kind of realistic bass pattern. It's an awesome looking little rattle trap, and it's got a really, really nice sound to it. So you got a few of those lead beads in there, and it's just an absolute killer of a lipless. Again, every time we get these in, they always sell out. They're extremely, extremely popular here and as well as in Japan. And so we see kind of a small restock of the TN70s. Just an absolutely fire lipless. And luckily enough, this time of the year, you know, red is a huge color that seems to get the fish just absolutely fired up. And Jackall Scent has made a few in that red color, so it's just an absolutely incredible time of year to be fishing a rattle trap, especially a red rattle trap. So if you guys have been waiting on Jackall TN70s, they are now back in stock. Okay, staying in Jackall, we see one of my favorite little wake baits, but in a much smaller size. The Micro Pompadour from Jackall. Now, the Pompadour from Jackall has been around for quite a while, and it's just a fantastic crawler style bait, and they absolutely get bit. I've always loved them, and now they make this tiny little micro-sized one. And when I mean tiny, I mean tiny. Look at that little thing. So it's basically the same exact concept as a regular Pompadour, where it just goes side to side, and these wings on the side will just kind of make a slapping sound, and it rolls a little bit. I know Griff here, he just had one of these, and he took it out the other day, and he started already catching fish on this little guy. Such a cool little bait. So if you guys are fishing small creeks or small ponds, and you guys love topwater, I think these little micro pompadours are going to be such a fun bait, especially when the water starts to warm up and those fish start to pull shallow. Such a cool little bait. We only have the one color, and it's kind of limited because we didn't get a whole lot of them, but if you guys want something a little bit tinier, a little more fun, check this out. Okay, and we see the Hampley from Jackall. Now you might be looking at this thing and going, what is that and how does it swim? And well, let me break it down. So the Jackall Hampley is a floating build swim bait slash wake bait that's kind of meant for like BFS So there is the Hampley out of package. So the first half of the bait is a hard, just ABS plastic, and it has like this lip here in the front. Then the second half is just this very soft plastic that kind of has a slit and it goes up in, so you can swap it out with another one if it gets pulled out, which it does come with another tail in the package. But basically what this thing does is it stays up on the water and it has a very lifelike swimming motion, and it just swims back and forth. You can pause it and it'll float back up. It goes down maybe like, 3 inches to 5 inches under the water. So it doesn't go down very far, but it's got this very lifelike action. So it's very, very small. Let me spec it out here for you guys. It is 2.2 grams, 65 millimeters, and it is a floating bait. It's super tiny, as you guys can see. Comes with one little treble hook, and that's basically it. It's a very small little wake bait slash crank down type of swim bait that is made by Jackall. So definitely a BFS or a spinning rod will be the best way to fish this little thing. But when you guys see this thing in the tank, it is such a badass little bait. So they make them in quite a few different colors as well, but basically all just baitfish pattern colors. So basically any of these will do just fine for your guys' water. Again, if you guys are fishing ponds, small creeks, if you guys are trout fishing or bass fishing or anything else that eats, small little bait like that on the surface, this thing's gonna be absolutely killer for you guys. So that is the Jackall Hampley, badass little swim bait. Okay, going completely different in the opposite direction, more towards what I like to do. We are going to be looking at the Imakatsu, and we have the Gillroid Jr. It's just a small little gill swim bait that Imakatsu makes. Imakatsu is known for making some very realistic baits and just some very unique ones as well. And so a lot of the guys here at the shop love throwing Imakatsu baits. I like Imakatsu. It's a pretty badass company. And so this is kind of just a look at it. So you have just a pretty much segmented lure. The tail that comes with it is basically kind of like a Huddleston tail, or just a vortex style tail, and you basically put that on the back of the bait. And instead of it being just like your normal glide bait, what a lot of guys will do is they'll just cast it out and they'll reel it in. What that tail will do in the back is it'll thump and it'll move this back piece, so you don't get like a true glide out of it, but more just a more subtle cut through the water. And so it's a dope, awesome little swim bait. Super realistic pattern on it too. Definitely more of my style. So if you guys are fishing for fish that feed on tilapia or bluegill or sunfish or anything like that, especially now that the spawn's kind of coming up and those bluegill are also going to be spawning here soon, once that happens, a bait like this is just going to be absolutely killer to fish around the shallows. So we have a few different colors in them. We have like this natural gill color as well. So Imakatsu makes some incredible paint jobs, and so we see the Gillroid Jr. come back in stock. Okay, new this week from Imakatsu, we see the Gekiasa Shad. Just a small little finesse style crankbait. 5.8 centimeters, 7 grams, so around a quarter of an ounce. Okay, so there is a look at the Gekiasa Shad by Imakatsu, and it's just a very small, again, 5.8 centimeter little crankbait, and basically it's just a hybrid between a normal side-to-side crankbait and kind of one of those flat-sided crankbaits. It's not too wide, and it's also not too thick, so it's a bit tall. So it's more of just a shad style bait, and it's gonna have kind of just that hybrid between an up and down side to side motion as well. So dope little bait. And what's cool is that there's no internals in this bait whatsoever. It's very similar to how the Evoke is made. There's kind of just like a couple little chambers in here, but there's nothing really inside. There's a small weight down here that's not fixed, so it's a very, very subtle little knock from that little weight in there, but it's nothing crazy. So Nice little bait, and again, like I talked about before, this time of the year, the fish can get really picky on the size of the shad, and a lot of the shad are going to be around this size as well. So if you really want to match the hatch, you go with something like this. Something a little bit different, very light. It's going to be very buoyant, so if you are looking to fish around rocks and stuff like that, it's going to bounce and deflect really well. So that is the Gekiasa from Imakatsu. Okay, staying in Imakatsu, we see kind of a similar style bait that we saw last year, and this is the iRoller 70. Now, it seems like Japan recently has been liking a lot of those eye baits, those eye motion baits. The baits that don't have a whole lot of action, they're not very intrusive, they're very subtle, and we see just that. This is the iRoller 70, and basically, it kind of has a lot going on here. It's got like this strand here in the back that acts as a tail. Then you have a blade here in the middle, the hook, line tie, and there is just a, I don't know if you guys will even be able to see it, but there's like the tiniest little lip. Tiny, super tiny little lip on it. But all this basically does is just a rolling bait. That's basically in the name, where it does this in the water, and as it does that, the blade comes up here, hits the sides, and it creates like just a subtle clacking noise. Very similar to a lot of baits that we've been seeing in the market, especially last year. Seems like the latest craze from Japan is just adding blades to certain baits, and it just gives off just a completely different presence and sound in the water. And so that's basically the iRoller 70. This is the slow sinking model, so you can just cast it out there, let it sink down, and then start casting and winding it in. So to spec this guy out for you guys, it is 70 millimeters, 5.3 grams. So it's pretty light. You're gonna want to use it again on like a spinning rod or, you know, BFS if you got that stuff really dialed in. But absolutely killer little bait if you guys are into those eye motion, not do anything really baits. So check it out, the iRoller 70 from Imakatsu. Okay, we see a new jig come to the market from Imakatsu in the Mickey head jig. Now, it's just, you know, your normal standard jig until you look at the head of this jig. Now, it looks funny, I know. And I think Griff called that the ball sack jig, and I think it's his new favorite jig. As well, you use your own imagination, but basically all this jig does is when you put a trailer on with that weight suspended down from where the actual normal head would be, is that it kind of stands up a lot more than your normal typical jig. So it's a badass jig, comes in a few different colors. We see it in a 3/8 ounce size as well as a 1/2 ounce size. This is going to be, you know, a smaller jig, but it's got enough weight. It's got a keeper here on the bottom. Nice skirt, comes in a few different colors, but really that very unique head design is pretty much the standout of this jig. We've seen a lot of jigs on the market, but not a lot of them have a ball sack shaped head. So new Mickey head jig from Imakatsu, check it out. Okay, and then we see a new blade offering from Imakatsu, the Salty Sonic Mach. And I know blade baits have been kind of a popular thing, especially here in the shop. I know that Griff loves throwing blade baits, especially for striper, largemouth, white bass, a lot of different species. We see just another blade bait variant in the Salty Sonic. They come in two different sizes, a 3.5 gram as well as a 7 gram. Okay, here's a look at the Salty Sonic, just your standard typical blade bait. It's got 3 holes that you can put your snap in, front, middle, back, for different variations. If you guys just want to swim it, rip it, or just vertical jig it, there's so many different ways that you can do it. And so you have this very thin part of the blade, and then you have a lot of that weight down here as well as some in the head. So just another blade offering on the market if you guys are a huge fan of Imakatsu, or if you guys like some different colors and different sizes check out the new Salty Sonic from Imakatsu. Okay, so Frog Products, it's a company that we've brought in quite a few times now, and they always seem to come up with some very unique lures, wouldn't you say, Griff?
Yeah.
Now, we see kind of not a new lure on the market, just a rat variation, but this is a pretty dope little rat. Now, this is just a very unique color. They like Spider-Man a lot. I feel like the last few products we've gotten from them, they always come in a Spider-Man color. And basically, it's a small little rat swim bait. Now, Griff, you've been fishing this lately. How do you like it?
All right. So the rat's small. It doesn't weigh much. It doesn't take like super specified gear to throw it. It's got a sweet little rattle in there, and it clacks when you're working it.
Yeah.
The plastic clacks on itself. It doesn't like to be moved slow, so you have to put a little bit of speed into it. It's got that gargle that we all love from the rats. The tail is very unique on this one because it's made out of hard plastic, and there's just a rope or a string that's connecting it.
That's so weird.
Yeah, but it gets a ton of action. It swings really good. It's pretty dope. Check them out.
You want to tell us about how great those hooks are?
We're not going to talk about the hooks. Amazing.
So,
I broke it.
I get it. Like frog hooks, right? On
Yeah.
a frog product.
Yeah.
But we suggest taking those off.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend switching to a different hook. I watch these guys' videos a lot, and they don't seem to have an issue with catching fish on these hooks.
Yeah.
But I don't have the confidence.
I don't have the confidence. No.
Yeah, so super dope.
So, twin hooks, not our favorite hooks, but just an awesome little rat. And like Griff said, it's not that heavy, so you don't really need a specialized rod to throw this little rat. They come in obviously different colors. If you're not a huge Spider-Man fan, they have, natural colors as well. Kind of a darker one, a lighter one. You got just a bone white and then kind of like a tiger color as well. So, Frog Products, we have a new rat. So, check it out, guys. Okay, heading over to Duo Japan, we have a nice restock and the Jerkbait 100 SP. This is their staple jerkbait from Duo. This is their staple jerkbait in Duo. It's got a when you first pick it up, you're gonna notice that it's got a very unique sound to it. So there's quite a few small little beads kind of more towards the front of the jerkbait. So it's going to have a completely different sound than like a pointer or a Vision 110. So if you guys are looking for something that's a little bit different, but still maintains a really good profile, the Jerkbait 100 from Duo might be what you're looking for. And we see it in a bunch of new colors and restock colors as well. So, one of my favorite colors here is AM Hasu. It's a badass color. I love it. Ivory Halo as well. Edge as well. Aaron Martin's Edge. And then the one that I showed you guys, the Neo Pearl. So that's a restock in the Duo Realis Jerkbait 100. Okay, and then we see a restock in the Duo Realis Perj 95F. Now the Purge is basically just a small little wake bait from Duo that's segmented. It's got a pretty lifelike swim to it. So it's just a small little wake bait, very similar to, if you guys remember, the Mickey. Who made the Mickey? Jackall. So it's basically just a take on that, just a small segmented swim bait. It's 14 grams, so basically half of an ounce. Again, you don't need any special gear to throw something like this. So if you guys are looking for a cool little wake bait, the Purge is back in stock for a limited time. Okay, let's jump over to Duo Tackle Storage. We see a huge, and I mean a huge restock in basically all of the Duo boxes. This is the double-sided Duo box that we see here. We also see a restock in the smaller double-sided boxes as well. So if you guys are looking for Duo boxes, we have a huge restock now in them. Check them out. Okay, let's jump over to some important line restocks. I know a lot of you guys have been loving the Defier fluorocarbon leader, we see a huge restock in it and all of the key size that everybody loves to use, from 5 pound, 6 pound, 8 pound, 10 pound, all the way up. Now, the Defier D leader has been very popular here in the shop. This is, you know, a very popular one that we like to use just because it's some of the best leader line that we've ever used. And Sunline advertised that it is the best leader line for the money. It's expensive, but for what it is, it's really, really good stuff. So if you guys have been waiting to get your hands back on the Defier D leader, check them out now. As well as just your normal Sunline FC Sniper, we see a huge restock and pretty much all the key sizes that we like to use here. We have 14 pound, 20 pound, 18 pound, and all the different sizes as well. So restock in Sunline for now. Check it out. Okay, we see a big restock this week from Ryugi as well. First thing we're going to be looking at is the Deep Tracer. The Deep Tracer is kind of a unique accessory that we can use. I've been using it for a couple of years now, and I like the overall design and thinking of it. So basically what you do is you attach your swim bait to the rig, which it comes up here. So you attach your swim bait up here, there's a weight down here. Basically what that does is it just allows you to fish floating swim baits or anything that's normally like higher up in the water column, deeper down. So the baits that I fish on a Deep Tracer, or anything that's like a crank down, a wake bait, a rat, anything like that, I'll attach it down and it basically just sinks down your bait. And so you can present different lures that they've never really seen at depths that they are totally not expecting to see, like a rat or like any type of other bait like a tiny clash. So it's a dope little contraption. They come in so many different sizes, from like a 3/8 ounce all the way up to like a 2 ounce. So they come in different sizes, and surprisingly they come through trees pretty well. I think they're more advertised to come through trees. They do come through rocks okay, but you will snag. But from what I've noticed, when you do snag, that it actually comes out of cover pretty well. So check out the Deep Tracer from Ryugi. Okay, and then going back to tackle storage, we see the ever so popular Ryugi tanks come back in stock, both the terminal tackle as well as just the open packaged one, and a bunch of different sizes from medium and up, right? So if you guys have been looking for these to come back in stock, we see them in quite a few different sizes, colors, everything that you'd ever need for tackle storage. So check them out. Okay, so we also see the Ryugi Soft Box. This has kind of been a popular one for a lot of guys just because it's something a little bit different from like the Megabass inner case or any of the other ones. So we see just your standard white and green come back in stock, as well as the new color, a black and white. And so what's so popular about these, that the top is actually clear, so you can see exactly what's inside of the case instead of having to actually open it and look. So these have been pretty popular, and we see a huge restock in these. And then finally from Ryugi, the biggest tackle storage that we see, this absolute giant, what's the name of this thing? Big ass box from Ryugi. And this thing's huge. I mean, look at the size of this thing. You can fit apparently 6 of these things inside of this one bag. So it's a serious box. What would you use this for, Griff?
Storage.
Like, are you putting it on a kayak, a boat? Like, are you taking this shore fishing? Like,
I'm not taking it shore fishing, but I would love to put it on my kayak.
Yeah.
But that's gonna stay at my house.
Like,
and store boxes.
Yeah, this thing is. I can definitely see Ben taking this on a boat, shore fishing.
It's too small.
Oh yeah, you're right. You would need like 2 or 3 of these. But we see a introduction of the Ryugi, I guess, big ass box. I'll leave a link to it down in the description below. But this thing is huge. We see it in quite a few different colors. This is the black and white. We see it in the white, as well as the green. So when you open it up, it is just space. That's basically it. It's just a giant space. You can fit a lot of stuff in here. Fit like your live well. This could be your walking live well if you wanted it to be. So that is it. The Ryugi big ass box now in store. And finally, we see a restock in rods this week. The first ones we're going to be looking at are the Evergreen Combat Stick. This one that I'm holding right here is the bladed jig rod, the 7'3". It's a badass rod. A lot of guys here in the shop absolutely love this rod. So we see a restock in this rod, as well as Griff's favorite rod in the Evergreen series. This is the 7'8". It's the wake bait rod. It's a great swim bait rod, honestly. It's 7'8", rated up to 4 ounces. You can throw a lot of different baits on it. Griff, you throw what? The gong on it. You throw the eye wing. You throw some swim baits on it too. Like,
I use the whole range of that rod.
Yeah,
I go from half ounce.
Dude, I've seen you throw everything from spoons on this rod. So it's a super versatile rod, and they're incredibly great for the price. So check those out from Evergreen. Okay, and we see a huge restock and Orochi XX rods as well. Basically, what, all the models came back in Orochi XX? Most models came back in Orochi XX. So if you guys have been waiting for Orochi XXs, this is a great time to pick them up. Like Ben says every week, the way that the world is right now, we have no idea when we're going to be getting more of these rods back in. So definitely, if you see a model that you want, I would definitely recommend scooping them up. And then also Megabass P5 rods. We see a restock in the X-Bites and a few other models as well. So definitely take a look at some of the models that we have on the site. If you guys see anything that you like, pick them up. I highly recommend it because just nothing's guaranteed now at this point when it comes down to rods, trying to get them when you can. So that's it. Okay, and that's it, guys. That's what's new this week. I know it's a little bit different because I'm sitting here and Ben really should be here drinking Orion, but oh well, I think he's out somewhere in the world, hopefully drinking an Orion. But thank you guys ever so much for watching. Everybody here at the shop appreciates the business as always. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment down below. I will leave links to all the products down in the description below as well. And other than that, see you guys later. Peace out.